June 7th, today, it's World Food Safety Day. It's the first time, it's a big event. How big, maybe still not perceived by the general population, by our viewers. You will explain us how much it is important, and even we will be talking about your role. But you have figures now. You have figures which will let us understand how it is important, isn't it?
Yes, thank you very much. It's true. It's the first World Food Safety Day, 7th of June, today. And as food is so close to our heart, and as it's so emotional, important in many ways, EFSA is contributing with our mandate to make or to keep Europeans' food safe. That is our main mandate. And to know more about the perception of the consumers about the risks in food, we did a Eurobarometer, which is a survey, hasn't been done for the last 9 years. Mm-hmm. And now we decided to have a Eurobarometer to understand better how the citizens in Europe perceive food risks, whom they trust, which channels they listen to. And for that, we interviewed about 28,000 people in Europe. And the main outcomes are that food safety is one important issue that citizens look when they buy food, besides taste and nutritious value and price and origin of food. Mm-hmm. However, and I think that's a very good news, only 1 out of 5 finds that food safety is guiding their buying decision. So basically, we take food safety for granted, yes, most of us, as it should be. Mm-hmm. So that's good news, I think. What we also found out is that people still see TV as their main information source. That was
even
a bit surprising.
Food.
Even concerning food. 2/3 of the citizens say it's still TV where they get information from.
Advertisement.
Well, advertisement, but maybe also documentaries about food and information that the national food safety authorities also air on TV, on the national TVs. It's also interesting that people say after they learn something on TV, they change their behavior temporarily or even for longer terms.
Is it that connected to 0 kilometer and some environmental education, or is it really connected to what they prefer because they are conditioned somehow?
I think it's really about safety. To say, okay, if we realize that, let's say, raw material is more risky, then people might think maybe not to consume, let's say, raw milk or raw meat. So they modulate their behavior also regarding the outcome of surveys. And then what we also realized is that there's not one food threat or one food risk that is common in all European countries, so it's quite diverse. However, there are 4 risks that are common in more than 20 member states. And this is pesticide residues in food.
Mm-hmm. That's your job.
This is the use/misuse of antibiotics in farm animals. Mm-hmm. It's about environmental pollutants. And it's about food additives. So these 4 risks, so to speak, are common in more than 20 member states.
That's about perception of risks, which doesn't mean it's real risk, and we can see later how you manage all these, how you can give some assurance to the people. But a Eurobarometer is normal a kind of poll of the polls. It's done through national institutes and so on. So the question is, how does it differ from a country to another? Because I guess that a country like Italy, where food is culture, is quite different than another country where food is maybe more industry. It depends really on the perception on food. Does anything emerge of that?
What we see is that, for example, the fear of GMO is decreasing when we compare it to 10 years ago. The survey that has been done in 2010. Whereas the fear, let's say, for environmental pollution, microplastics, is increasing, especially in Northern Europe. So there are country differences, yes. But I would not agree that only in Italy food is something like an artisanal endeavor. I think in all countries food is something extremely important and would not be seen as an industrial stuff. It's always much more.
Say at least we have the best cooking. Anyway, it's quite different. We see some common factors, and we see how they are conditioned by media, by the information we give as a TV also, because clearly plastics and so on is something which is more on the wave now, and genetically modified organisms are something which we were talking about some time ago. We are not talking anymore about that. So do you think, and have you any data telling us or letting us guess that if we take it again in our news, that will be a really perceived fear again, or it's somehow disconnected?
No, I think it is connected. We see a difference between what we would call scientifically proven risks and perceived risks. So the perceived risks are along pesticides, food additives, and GMO in the past. But the real risks still with food is foodborne illnesses because of bacteria, viruses, foodborne zoonosis, which means diseases that can be transmitted between animals and humans. This is still in Europe the biggest task we have to do, and they can be prevented because it's about hygiene and good production practices. So the risk that is created is a perceived risk, is not always the real risk.
So, I mean, if I go and visit the farmer in my village, and the more I see him dirty and natural, the more I appreciate his food. Tendentially, I don't see a risk in what he does because I think, okay, humanity always has been living with that. While when I take the same milk from a shop, I know there's industry behind, there's treatment, there's everything. And you're actually telling us that the real risk is the farmers and not in the shop.
Well, I would never say the real risk is the farmers as a son of a farmer. But it's true. I think milk is a very good example. Raw milk, if you don't cook it before consumption, is a real risk. The consumption of raw milk caused in the past thousands and millions of illnesses. And we have gone over that via pasteurization of milk, which is in a way an industrial process. It's a thermal treatment of milk, but it has made milk completely safe. And now you can wonder what is more important, the safety or the natural, the unprocessed. And I think with milk, there's no question. Pasteurized milk is safe.
Let's go back to the data. Do you have anything else you would like to underline from that Eurobarometer?
Maybe about trust, because we also asked citizens whom do they trust when they talk or when they are informed about food safety. The good news that scientists are still on the top. So people trust scientists. They trust then consumer organizations, NGOs, farmers. And they also trust European and national institutions for food safety. So in that respect, I think we are in a good way also to project that we are a trustworthy organization working for the public interest.